Alright, good evening, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for honoring our invitation to the press conference of the class concert, April 11 class concert. So the conference is going to be focused on two key areas. That is the review of the April 11 class concert and concerns raised by a few other people online. So here is Prince Kani. He's our founder and CEO of Prince Empire Music World. This is Skinny, our country manager. So without wasting much time, I'll invite Prince to make a statement. Thank you.
All right, yeah. Thank you so very much, media. Thank you for honoring our invitation, like Bashiru said. It's a pleasure for us to sit here again after giving one of the best concerts to the Gambians, to talk directly to our fans. We also want to thank media for playing a very huge role in the promotion of the concert that we had 11th of April. And we thank you for that. The reason for this class concert, for this press conference, is to talk about the class concert that happened last Saturday. Because to me and my team, the customer satisfaction is very important, and what we give out to the people, because we as the young people, we want to initiate something in the Gambian music industry to create a business within the Gambian music sector, and that was the reason we bring this class concert. But after the class, like we used to do after every program that we have, we used to sit as a team and review and look at what we did for the people, what they are satisfied with and what they are not satisfied with. And we have seen the concern of the fans that came here and the concerns that they raised in the media. That's why we want to talk to our fans directly, especially the class segment that most of the people were talking about. That was one of the things that we introduced and we really wanted to do, but unfortunately it was beyond our control because one of the parties did not agree to that segment, which is beyond our control, and they know the best reasons. That's why the segment wasn't there. But we sincerely want to apologize to the fans. We know that we want to give them the best, and come next class, we're gonna work to make sure that we improve on some of the things that we lack in the first class concert. And people should also know this is the first time there is a learning point for us. We want to learn, we want to hear from people's opinion, we want to hear from people's ideas so that we can build more of this in the Gambia. It's not only about making money, but it's also about creating opportunity for the young people, for the music industry, because we've seen that a lot of people are now engaged into the music industry. We want to create something like that. We've been seeing people saying, we did this class just to scam people. It's so unfortunate that most of the people are saying that. But if you look at the concept of this class, we believe that it's a new segment in the Gambian music industry. For centuries, artists that are beefing each other, people have to understand it was not even an easy thing to bring those people to sign a contract. It was more than a year, talking to these artists, and so many people tried, they were not able to have it. If young people like us, were able to put something on stage for Gambian people, I think, people should also recommend us for that. When you look at the Gambian music industry, we just have one segment of the music industry, which is album launching every year. And we want to diversify from that segment. And I believe it's only us, Prince Empire, as a music segment that believe in the Gambian artists, and to say that the potential that they have worth more than just paying them 100,000 for a performance. We bear to take the sacrifice to pay Gambian artists more than $500,000, and I think that should be commendable. We've put so much energy, we've put so much resource, even though the concert did not pay us. It's a big loss for us, but we believe putting a music business in the Gambia is not only going to help this country grow, but it's also going to help the industry grow. And this is what Prince Empire is here for, and this is what we're going to stand for. This loss is not going to make us give up, because we've taken so many struggles and we know that whatever we are doing it for the Gambia, we are doing it for our economy, we are doing it for our segment, we are doing it for our sector. We want the Gambian music industry to grow, and it cannot only grow with Prince Empire, it has to grow when everybody comes in. Thank you.
Okay. All right, quite clear. Thank you so much, Prince, for that elaborative statement. So, Skinny, if you have anything to add up before we invite questions from the media.
Yeah. Greetings to everyone. I'm Skinny, the country manager for Prince Empire. Yeah, well, like my boss said, the class is all about putting something into the Gambian music, bringing artists together for both parties to gain something. It's not something about being scamming people. We're doing this for our music, so for our music to grow. So this is not something about what people are saying outside. We struggle a lot to state this class. So we're doing it for our brothers, and our sisters. So not ourselves, for ourselves. So, but the information the people are giving there, we want to make it clear to them that it's not a scam. And we really apologize to the fans who came to the show and bought their tickets, and they don't have what they wanted. But we really apologize to them. So we're doing this for the Gambia and for our music industry, not for our personal things. So I want them to understand that we are going to learn in the long run. This is our first time of doing a class, and it is our first experience of doing it. So in the long run, we are going to learn, and a lot of things will change, inshallah. So this is what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Skinny and Prince. So we are now inviting questions. If you have a question, you please raise up your hand, tell us your media house, and then post your question, please. Thank you. Okay, Mr.
Yes, my name is Dalasi. First and foremost, congrats for saying that you have never experienced this in music. No, that's a big kudos. My question is, you've made mention of one party not subscribing to the terms and the condition of the whatsoever the contract in the class. Can you please specify who among them refused to actually subscribe, and what stage do you actually realize, or has he refused to actually agree with terms and the conditions? Because you cannot go into a contract with someone and you come on the D-Day, he told you, I'm not going to do this, because it comes with repercussions. So can you elaborate more on that, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so very much for that question. We were expecting that question. But look, we work professionally, and whatever contract we sign, there is a non-disclosure agreement, that we sign with people. I cannot sit in the media here and say, this party. But what we want to make clear, from the get-go, the reason why we put the class on the flyer and everybody was posting, even the artists were posting, they know it was a class. But along the process, there are some natural things that one cannot control, and when it comes, you have to handle with professionalism, because our main reason of doing this is to create something for the Gambian artists. And we don't want to do something that they will feel at the end of the day like we are trying to push them into something that they didn't want. So that's why we have to be very professional in what we are doing with them. But at the end of the thing, the class would have even been cancelled or something like that. But what we make sure is to stand out, to make sure that this comes and let people experience it, because we have seen it in other countries. Why not Gambia? But it's a learning process for us. What we write in the contract, it has been agreed to, but there are some natural things that one cannot control, and that was the reason, why the last segment of the freestyle did not happen.
Thank you.
Well, now a follow-up question. When you said it's natural, I disagree with that. Someone refused to actually subscribe to us. One thing just actually signed, and you've never told Gambians. You told Gambians, who have been following your interviews on the Five Network, that this class was one of its kind, right? Having artists facing each other, classing each other, and all that. And fans didn't actually see that. One, they may have thought that, look, the management or whatsoever of Prince Empire and his team, they lied to the Gambians. Excuse my language.
Yeah,
so that's what's actually sounding on the internet. You've seen people saying you've scammed them. I think it's only fair if you at least, let's say, even our private event, there's a statement that, well, we've signed A, B, or C, but due to A or B or C, one of the parties refused to actually do A or C, because Gambians were expecting a real life class talk about line per line and all that. So I think it's very unfair. Yes, we understand in contracts sometimes we don't actually delve into the nitty-gritty of the contract. Even all of us, we don't discuss our salaries anyway. You understand that? But this one, I think, is of public interest for you to tell Gambians who refuse to accept the class.
No, I understand your point, and that's why we call this press conference, because we feel like the fans were not satisfied, and with the expectation that they come. Like I told you, we have a non-disclosure agreement. We cannot sit here and say this party, but what we want to make sure that one of the parties did not agree to the segment of freestyle, and it was beyond our control because the time limit there wasn't favorable. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Did you pay them prior to the event, or to their performance whatsoever?
Yeah, we paid them prior to the event.
Yeah. Anyone else? Can you please allow your colleagues? Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is our MC from Agent for Radio and TV. My question goes to is, we've seen this class, it's just the first time in the Gambia, and even Gambian appreciate it. And again, some are even suggesting that you should bring in our Gambia and Miss Joyce, yeah. So I just want to know, again, this has happened, it has passed, but what steps are you going to take in case, for instance, you organize another event and one of the party decided to deviate from the contract? What is going to be the step of the Prince and Bride? Because I know you don't want to organize an event and at the end of the day you lost. So what is going to be your step?
Yeah, thank you so very much for that question. Like we said, it's a learning process for us because Gambia has not experienced a class like this, so we cannot be perfect from the starting. We learn from the process, and next time we're going to know how to approach the artists. One thing people have to understand is very hard dealing with Gambian artists. We all know that. You are in the media, you know that. So, but with the mistakes that we have, the failures, this will make us strong. This will make us sit back as a team, try to reflect more on what happened, what should happen next. If people are now giving us suggestions like we want this and this, now next time we're going to know exactly how we're going to approach those artists and how we're going to end with them. But let's also remember, these are our brothers and sisters, and the main reason why we are doing this, we want the Gambian music industry to grow. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seems that's all.
Yeah, the fans are concerned because when the MC came to introduce the artist to perform, he made mention of some rules. You said earlier that the contract was breached earlier, but when he came to introduce the artist, he made mention that this is how the show is going to be like. The first segment, they will have artists to do the beefing with the instrumental without their songs, but they didn't do that. So that what do you have to say about that?
Before you answer, please, I have a follow-up to that, please. So my name is Dada from FOD Media, and after that, like he rightly mentioned, Attack was on stage and accused Hussein Dada of running away from that segment of freestyling or whatever it is called. So is it accurate that it was Hussein Dada who actually refused to that segment of the class? Thank you.
I will come to your question first. I didn't say the contract was breached earlier. What I said, one of the parties did not agree to. When they did not agree to, I didn't mention that. And like I said, this is a non-closure agreement. We have to be very professional because we are also dealing with public figures. Yeah. And, regarding what you're saying, I wouldn't say whether that's accused or not. What I know, one of the parties did not agree to the freestyle segment. That's all what I can say.
Okay, thank you. You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. This one goes to Prince.
It all comes to me.
Do you feel like it was very unfair for most of the people criticizing the event instead of telling you the way forward and how you should do it next time?
Yeah, thank you, bro. I think that should be the question that the journalist should ask me. Look at me as a young person, who at my age will take that risk to invest more than 3-4 million in the Gambian music industry. When you lose it, where are you going? Probably, we see a lot of foreign investors. They came here, they could not stand up, they went back. So if somebody like me is trying to put something different in the Gambian music industry, when I make a mistake, when my team make a mistake, we make a failure. We will appreciate people to criticize us. I am a leader. I always accept failures. I always accept mistakes, and I always accept, criticisms, because this will make us grow as a team. We always sit back, we reflect on ourselves. If you look from the starting of Prince Empire music world. We're just less than 3 years in the Gambian music industry, and now everybody knows about us. When you talk about the Gambian investors, we are the leading investors because all our competitors are just focused on international artists. We could bring international artists. We did it, and it was one of our successful shows in the Gambia. But after the revenue, my team told me, let's bring another international artist. I tell them, no, I want to invest this money back to the Gambian music industry because whatever we have here, it remains here. When we bring international artists, we pay them, they go back with the money. This will not grow our industry. We learn from the mistakes, we learn from our failures, and we accepted it, and we are apologizing to the fans, and we are promising them that next time, come see the next class, it's going to be a different kind. Let people send us their suggestions, let people send us their ideas. But one thing that really took us back is the people that will only sit and give analysis after somebody's failure. As a country to grow, especially the music industry to grow, if you see young people trying to do something, you have expertise, reach out to them, give your expertise to them, guide them, let them do on the right way. Don't sit when they make failure, you just want to direct them. This will not make us grow because me as an investor, we have a very big losses in this concert. I could go and sit back, I could go and sit in Europe, make my money. I will not have any stress. But this will not make me contribute my own part in the Gambian development. And we all have to, like the media is doing, you are taking the information out, you are developing the country. So we in the music industry, we are also doing our part. And collectively, we can make the industry grow.
Thank you.
So is it possible to disclose to us as to how much each of these artists are paid for this class?
Yeah, we paid them more than $500,000 each.
Okay.
And I believe this is the first time ever in the Gambia because I've been in the music industry. We are taking over best of the best. So I know how much they paid us, the artists, to come and perform. It's only me and one Senegalese who was trying to do this class concert. So many Gambians tried, but what they were offering, no artist was able to say yes to that. So we were the first people to offer artists an amount of money that they feel like Prince Empire really, see our worth. And this is what will make the artists more motivated, to put in work. And look, this will change the Gambian music industry. Believe you me, if artists realize that, after my concert, I am having another revenue somewhere, you will see a difference in the Gambian music industry. But we cannot do it alone. We want to do it with everybody.
Yes,
Thank you.
Ask you want to ask again.
Can you give a chance to your colleague first? We come to you.
Okay, I have two questions, one from me and one from the fan that was watching. The first flyer that came out, it was having question mark on it, as in who is the Gambia expecting to see in the clash. Did you guys choose these people out of the response you got from people? That also connects to the question the fan asked. He said, do you guys think that your choice was wrong? Because some people are thinking that they wanted to see Attack and Mike Jada. Or do you think that the choice you made, Attack and Hussein Dada, you once felt that that was a wrong choice?
No, it cannot be a wrong choice. This is a process. We said it's a class and it's going to be yearly. Yeah, there are some categories one have to look, and we don't just jump and choose the artist. Yeah, there were things that we look into, and the trend that was going also, we all have to look into that. And possibly if the fans are requesting Attack and Mike Jada, why not? This might be possible in the near future.
And I have a question. Even though my first one wasn't answered, that is fine. I will ask again. So what will be the difference between this past concert and the probably following one? Because fans are asking who is the winner because they didn't see Josh as they were expecting a real class, but unfortunately they did not see what they were expecting. So what will be the difference, and what assurance will you give the fans that the next concert or the next class will be different from this particular one?
Let the fans understand we were really concerned about their comments. We went I don't use social media, but because of this class, when my team told me, on Sunday we were all tired, but I called for emergency meeting. We met here. We discussed. Yesterday also we met here, we discussed. We review everything and we put everybody's comment into consideration. Yeah, like I said, we learn from our mistakes, we learn from our failures, and we're going to adjust to that. But let them not compare Gambia to other countries. let's do our own, let's create our own. We will listen to people, the ideas they are bringing in. Let's put those ideas together and create our own. Why do we want to copy other people? One thing we can assure them, we see their concerns, we had it, and that's why we are here to apologize to them, telling them that, their expectations were not met. But we, as organizers, we also going to go back, sit and see what we can bring next time for them, for them to be, comfortable, for them to be happy, and also for their expectations to be met. The winner, like we said, we felt like both artists came up with so much energy. They all give what was expected from them. So we're gonna allow the fans, to say who they think the winner is. Yeah.
Okay. Just have you
Yeah,
final question?
I was still gonna ask again. Made mention that these both of them were paid roughly about 600,000.
No, I don't say roughly 600,000. I
Half a
said
million,
half a
over
million.
half a
They're
million.
paid over.
Yes.
No.
I've heard 600,000.
No, I didn't say
No,
600.
over half a million.
Okay, so over a half a
More,
million.
I said more than half a
Okay,
million.
sorry, excuse me, sorry for that, I apologize. You've made mention that half a million both of them were paid, that's right. That's also at some point we asked you to tell us which of the parties you refused to. But you said, of course, there are secrecies that you have in the clause that you're going to...
I said we have a non-disclosure agreement.
Non-disclosure agreement. That's between you and, of course, the musicians or the parties involved. But here now the public accusing you of scamming them, accusing your entity of scamming them because when you told them you never brought that. And also telling people that you're going to bring in international judges. You haven't seen any judge on stage that night. I don't know if they were there, if they were spies or they CIDs. I haven't seen any judge that would actually was serving as the judge. So can you please clarify these two things? Were there any international judge on this fateful night? And as to still, the Gambian, all those district Gambian people to know whether the parties actually refuse to come and accept what they've signed for, because fans paid their money. Some use data to watch online, some use fares to come and all that. So I think it's only fair to clear the air than allowing people to speculate in the internet. And like they said, in any room, of course, there's an element of truth. So I think you, as the organizers, should be bold enough, like you said. Imagine spending about 3 million in this thing. It's not a little money at some point. We commend you for that. We actually salute you for that. But I think it's only fair if you also clear the air for people to know why the real class you want to see, we didn't see it. So that we never know, well, it was A or B, that's why we didn't see it. To actually reduce the blame on probably the organizers. I think that's it. What do you order to the fans? What's your reaction to that?
Bro, look, excuses is a trademark to a failure. That's why we are sitting here. That's why we want to apologize to the fans. Like I tell you, this is a forced process, and I believe as a media you should understand what a non-disclosure agreement is.
I did understand.
We will apologize to the fans. We are the organizers. We will apologize to the fans because they came and paid their money, and we really value that, because 500 is too much. Yeah, we really value that. That's why we want to sit here, and apologize to them. But what we want to assure the public is, come next time, we're gonna do it differently, because we learn from our mistakes, we learn from our failure, and we're gonna do it better next time.
Okay, next question was there any international judge on that night on the stage? Because you promised fans there will be international judges who don't even know these artists, but we've never seen them. Can you answer that question, please?
We didn't have any international judges. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let's close with you.
Okay, this is a floor question by a fans saying that them coming to view the clash, they want to hear from Team Prince Empire themselves. Who is the final win?
Yeah, we just. I think I've just said that right now. We believe like both of the artists come with the energy that we expect from them. Since I don't think days to the show, they've shown the energy from online to the stage. Now we want to leave to the fans to decide who the winner is, and maybe we're gonna organize something like a pool box where the fans can vote to say who the winner is. We really want to leave that to the fans.
Thank you so much,
Sorry,
guys.
can I just last one? So Prince,
Yeah,
we all know most of government artists, they don't respect contracts. Yeah, you understand? You know what I mean?
You are there.
Most of these government artists don't respect contracts. I know something like that happened here. So dealing with government artists is very hard. So how do you intend on dealing with them in the future?
Yeah, bro, you've been in the music industry, you know our challenges, I used to tell people if I was not a Gambian, I would have stopped investing in the Gambian music industry because everybody knows what happened. But I cannot take everybody to court. I cannot sue everybody. At the end, it's gonna kill my spirit, it's gonna kill the artist spirit. So like Gambia, what I say, let's all come together, because what I believe in is collaboration, not competition. Let's all come together. Is the responsibility of all of us, the art sector, to teach one another. Sometimes it's not the fault of the artist not understanding or respecting the contract. Sometimes it's the lack of understanding, because there is no sector in this country that is teaching the artists about contract. So let's come together as a team, let's come together as a sector and make sure that we improve on this. So that Prince Empire will improve whatever they promise the funds, the artists also will improve whatever they sign on. Here is the only country that you will send a contract to the artist. Most of them will not even read, they will just sign, and that's all. But we are an emerging economy. We have a long way to go, but we have to support each other. We have to encourage each other. We have to motivate each other, so that we can grow as a sector.
Thank you so much, Prince. Thank you, the media. So I want to quote one thing from your statement. Let's put our ideas together and create our own. I think that's very important. So thank you, guys. That's the end of the
Thank you.
presentation.